Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl Koh and I'm very proud and excited to be participating in this year's Francophone-EAT Festival representing France, and I will be presenting today a variation of the classic tarte au chocolat chocolate tart. I will be making today a Milo-Moka Tart that would be a Singaporean twist on an expresso chocolate tart. So I will be starting right now and showing you step by step how we're going to make this tart. First, we'll make pâte sucrée. So it's going to be a classic tart dough, and we're making it with a little bit of coffee in it. So it'll be a coffee flavored tart dough. I start with some softened butter. And in it, I'm going to mix in some sugar and some icing sugar. So I'm going to mix it all together. So I start with a wooden spatula and then I'll continue with my hands. So I'm pressing the softened butter down and I'm mixing it into the sugars. Continue. So once it's mixed in, I start incorporating the butter into the sugar. So here we want the butter and the sugar to be well mixed together. The butter, I've left it, this is unsalted French butter. I've left it at room temperature into cubes. And now I'm just mixing it together with the sugar. Once it's mixed in well, I'll add in the almond powder. And then followed by the flour. We bring the coffee powder also. So I mix it well with my hands, all incorporating it together. Here I add a little bit of salt and coffee powder to give it a slight variation to this dough. So you can see the dough coming together, and I continue using a rubbing in action to incorporate the dough. Lastly, I add in the egg. I make a small well in the middle, and then I add in 2 eggs to the recipe. So here I mix it slowly into the dough. So I'll also say that I've chosen to make a chocolate tart also because then I find that I think chocolate is a French favorite, and I think also a universal favorite, and that it's an ingredient that is loved by many and all. And also then a chocolate tart recipe is a very classic and then comforting dessert as well. So I thought for this Francophone festival, I wanted to do something that then had a local Singaporean twist to it as well. So instead of just using full chocolate with the coffee flavor to it, I thought to also add in Milo, which is quite a favorite local drink as well here in Singapore, and going with the coffee flavor, I think it would go very well. So now I have a rough mess of the pâte sucrée, the sugar dough that is mixed with a little bit of coffee powder as well. So I'm going to put it all onto the table. I'm going to dust a little bit of flour on top. And I'm going to do this action, which in French is called frisé, and it's action to then mix the dough properly, and that the entire dough is well mixed. So what you want is then that all the ingredients of the dough is evenly mixed together. So I include this action to then press down the dough, and that then all the butter, the sugar, and the flour is all evenly mixed together. I do this about 2 to 3 times until I see that then the entire dough is evenly mixed. So this action ensures that each time you make a dough, that it's completely well and evenly mixed, and it bakes evenly each time. So now we have the dough. Sprinkle a little bit. I make it into a ball. So now the dough is ready, and I'll roll the dough out and prepare it for the tart. Okay. So I'll move this first. So I'm going to roll the dough between 2 sheets of baking paper. And I put half the dough. So I have the dough on the sheet of baking paper. Press it down. I'm going to roll it out to about 2 millimeters. So here the dough is ready to be lined to form the chocolate tart. I'll keep this for 20 minutes in the refrigerator for it to harden, and then I'll cut it into circles to line the tart. Now we have the dough ready and cut in circles. So the size of the dough would be then just the height. So this is a 2 centimeter by 16 centimeter tart ring. So then I'll cut it just enough to fill the height of the tart ring. So I have the dough already rolled out and cut into circles. So now we'll line the tart. So I place the rolled out dough and cut out dough right in the middle of the tart ring, and I start pushing it down. So I do not touch the middle of the dough at all. I'm only pushing the rim of the dough into the tart ring. So as I slowly turn, one hand is pushing it down and another finger is pushing it against the wall of the tart ring. I leave a little border right here that I can then trim off to form a very straight edge of the tart. With a small knife, I trim. I clean out the sides. And now this tart is ready to be baked in the oven. Okay, so now the tart is ready. I'm putting it in the oven. It's going to go at 160 for about 15 minutes. So once the tart is baked, so this is the tart out of the oven after 15 minutes. So you can see that then it's got a nice golden coffee brown color and very thin shell. So now the tart is ready, and we're going to prepare it. We're going to prepare the tart shell ready to have the Milo and mocha mix into ganache into the tart. So to prepare the tart shell, I brush a little bit of egg yolk, a thin layer of egg yolk onto the tart shell. This gives it a protective, waterproof layer to the tart shell that keeps it crisp for longer. So I give it a light coat of egg yolk on top. And then I put it back in the oven to set the egg yolk for about 2 to 4 minutes. Put it in. So now I'm going to make the Milo and Mocha chocolate ganache. So this is a variation of the classic chocolate tart. So here I have some whipping cream. We have some dark chocolate. I have a mix of coffee and Milo powder to it. And then 2 eggs. So we're going to heat up the cream. So the variation is I'm going to make a Milo and coffee base, a drink, and then I'll pour it into the chocolate, and then the chocolate mix would have then a flavor of the malty chocolate of the Milo, and then a very intense coffee espresso flavor to it. So we're letting the cream come to a boil, and as it's heating up, I add in the soluble coffee and the Milo powder to it. So whisk it in. So I now have a cream that is a Milo flavor and then with a little hint of coffee to it. So once the cream starts to boil, I turn off the heat and then I'm pouring it into the chocolate mix. I leave this for about 1 minute without mixing it. I let the chocolate melt slowly into the hot cream. And then I've prepared some eggs into it. This will be a baked chocolate tart, so then the eggs will help to set the ganache. So if you can smell it now, it's a coffee chocolate flavor. It's almost like a hot Milo drink with a hint of coffee. I use the hand blender, but at home, if you make it at home, then you can also just use a spoon or a spatula to mix it together. I use the blender to make sure then that it's completely smooth and the chocolate mix is completely free of bubbles, that you get a smooth, nice chocolate mixture. So, start. Put it in. I add in the eggs. And then I start blending. I tilt the hand blender at an angle that forms a little wave on top of the chocolate mix. So then you can see the bubbles coming up and that the cream is slowly incorporating into the chocolate and it gets smoother and smoother. So I mix it until all the chocolate and the cream is fully incorporated together. Okay. So here I have the prepared tart shell that has a layer of the egg yolk wash on it already, baked for 4 minutes, in additional 2 to 4 minutes in the oven. And then here I have the chocolate mix ready to go. Any little bubbles on the top, I take a small spatula and I just clean it off. So then I slowly pour the Milo and coffee ganache into the chocolate tart. Once this is ready, I put it into the oven for 4 to 6 minutes. So here I have a few tarts that the tart is out of the oven, and then here I've also made a few smaller tarts. These are 8 centimeters. This is double. This is at 16. So then you have a choice of then making smaller individual sizes or a bigger one to share. And for additional Milo sensation, we have then the powder on top. So here we have a Milo-Moka Tart, fantastic mix of then chocolate, coffee, and in a French tart. Once it comes out of the oven and it's ready to eat, I'll leave it for about an hour at room temperature for the chocolate to set completely, and then you get a nice texture to it. So you can have it slightly colder with a more firm ganache. If you like a very oozy liquid flavor to it, then you can have it slightly warmer. I'll cut the tart then. C'est très bon, c'est délicieux. J'espère que vous allez essayer ça à la maison et bon appétit!